Go, go, go.
Go.
Live. Now,
Hit that live button. 6 seconds, motherfuckers. Come on.
Power
How
Rangers.
hard is it to just stay quiet with the logo for just a couple of seconds?
It's very hard.
Damn it.
It is.
What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Welcome to this week's episode 230 of the STS Guys. I am Jeremy.
Hey, it's Larry.
And I'm Scott.
And we are the STS Guys, a weekly podcast where we sit around, shoot the shit, and talk about anything geeky, nerdy, and cool. What is going on this week, guys?
Well, way better than the previous week, but still, it's been a week.
It's been a week.
It has been a week.
I realized I totally forgot to upload episode 2. What are we on? 229? Last week's episode. Oops. So I guess I've got 2 episodes to edit and upload tomorrow. Good times. My bad.
Hooray!
All good.
It happens, right? As you're gonna say, it happens with the best to the best of us.
Yeah, like I have no excuses. I literally did nothing last week.
I was gonna say something like,
yeah, like I didn't want to bring it up. Like,
literally had nothing to do.
Just sitting around. So
totally sat around to watch a lot of King of the Hill. Like I did nothing last week, so no excuses. But I'll work on that probably tomorrow.
Hey, all good. You know what?
Yeah.
I said, hey, there's some things to take priority, and I said, honestly, King of the Hill is one of those priorities.
Yeah, I slipped into like accidentally started watching, like doing a rewatch of King of the Hill when I was looking for something to watch, and then next thing you know, you're on season 4 and you're all in.
It's my go-to. It's that's my dinner time show. Like I said, I will literally watch it every night for dinner. I said I think I've seen, like I said, King of the Hill front to back at least 20 times.
Yeah,
like
it's crazy.
It's one of my favorite, like I said, animation, like animated shows.
It's really good, and right, there's some okay episodes, but then there's the really good ones that pop up. Like I think I'm watching the Propaniacs one right now.
Yeah, like
that's a really good episode.
Pocket Sand is my one of my favorite ones.
Yeah,
like I can't. You guys know the episode names more than I do, but with Lenore. Bill.
Bill.
That is probably my favorite episode. That one and the one where it's the one where they go to New Orleans and they stop at Bill's family's house.
Oh, where Jersey tries to fuck his one of them is his cousins.
Yeah,
the rest of them.
And Bobby gets all dressed up.
My lord.
Yeah, that one's a really good episode.
No, I said one of my favorites is I said the one where Bobby goes to women's self-defense.
Yes.
Yeah,
that one is a classic.
I mean, so here's the thing I think that I appreciate the show is because it makes the most ridiculous things seem just like, yeah, okay, that's normal, right? Like everything that has to do with Bobby, anything going on with Bobby, you're like, I could see a parent doing that to a child, or like a child his age doing that,
right? The non-athletic kind of goofy kid, which that goofy kid. I know we all can relate to.
Yeah, you can relate to Bobby.
Yeah,
and some level, like anyone can relate to Bobby in some level, and I think that's where it is. If you view it through the lens of like this weird kid that we all were, let's be honest, we were all the weird kid. I know it.
I was definitely the weird kid.
We all kind of fit that thing, and so like it's a way to like rekindle that, like, you know, like that childhood that we all experienced somewhat of, like the weird grandpa that's obsessed with the war. That was mine. Like it was.
That's not a good thing.
No, but it's
God is scary.
Yeah, but mine was like World War II grandpa, right? But still,
hey, but he killed 50 men.
Yeah, 50 men. They took his knee. They took his knees.
His
shins. So yeah, no, I do appreciate the King of the Hill just for that, right? Just that the concept of that, and you can kind of see like it's like a lot of shows try to force like this family together, but you can see where weird Hank and Peggy had Bobby, right? Like you're like, yeah, okay, they're all weirdos. Like, and it's more, it's not like it's cartoonish, but it's not as cartoonish, right? Like,
well, then like there's like the episodes too, right? I said where like where Bobby like the innocent thoughts and mistakes that people like have. Like one of my favorite episodes is basically so when Bobby thinks like that his family's rich and steals one of his dad's credit cards and basically starts going and buying like a whole bunch of stuff at the Arlen Galleria. But then like he's like, it's like I said my dad's into oil. My oil change records. Like
Good times. There's one that I didn't remember that I hadn't seen since it was relevant to us, but it's like season 2 maybe. There's an episode where a winter storm is coming to Texas, right, to Arlen, and the whole town freaks out. Because they think they're going to lose power and like propane and all that stuff. And
don't be a hero, Hank. It's too late.
And they're and they're running like they're at the Megalomart like stocking up on toilet paper and stuff. It was very relatable to that winter storm we had in 2021.
Damn, we actually had a Texas winter storm.
Oh my god, yes.
I haven't hit this button in a while since we've been talking about it. I gotta find it though. Here we go.
Yeehaw!
There.
Shout out to Manny. What's up,
Manny? What's going on, man?
We were live last week, I believe, Manny. We missed like 2 weeks ago, but I think we were live last week.
We were live last week.
Yeah,
we were live last week. Hey, but like speaking of, like I said like shows. I said
I got one more button I want to push.
Go ahead, push it.
I haven't heard this one too, but there's this.
That's right, Taco Bueno.
In the high school, in the food court, in the high school. No, I said one thing. I said that I did start watching. I said that because it came on last week. Yellowstone.
Oh,
I said,
cool.
the good old Yellowstone came back on TV. Keep on back on TV. I know you guys don't watch that, but like I said, it's.
I haven't yet. It's on my backlog. My problem is I have too much of a backlog, but I keep going to dumb shit that I've seen before instead of watching the new stuff.
All right. Speaking of dumb shit, have you guys seen? I said the teledoc. I said on Netflix about the guy in the Pepsi points and the Harrier jet.
One of the first documentaries to get 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's great.
Wait, what? Yeah. Like you said Pepsi points. Does that like kind of like the Monopoly game, but like
kind of. Yeah. So basic story. Was the dude? They had a commercial.
Yeah.
Talking about Pepsi points, and they actually had a fucking Harrier, and they put a ridiculous points thing onto it. But then there's some like a loophole that they found about like instead of having to buy
real quick before you say that, I said they made a point. Like I said when they were watching the commercial, right? So they're basically flashing different items in the commercial that you can buy with Pepsi points with, like like hey, glasses 125 points, a T-shirt 250 points, leather jacket 3,000 Pepsi points, and it says Harrier jet 7 million points. However, there was no disclaimer, I said, on the television ad that the Harrier jet wasn't a real thing you could get. Yeah. It was paired with basically a whole bunch of real things you could get.
Yeah.
And then I said, in the back of the Pepsi catalog, you could actually buy, I said, Pepsi points. You could actually buy up the points. So this one guy basically said, like, hey, guess what? He partnered with one of his longtime friends. And it's like, hey, for $700,000, we can get a $40 million Harrier jet.
Yeah.
And so they basically sent a check for $700,000. I said, and some Pepsi points. Awesome. I said to Pepsi to basically try to get this Harrier jet.
Yeah.
And they came back, and Pepsi basically came back and said that was a joke. That part was a joke, and that wasn't real. And subsequent versions of the commercial cut that point value out of the jet thing, and they tried to say like, "See, look, it doesn't say it." And they're like, "No, we have recordings of it that show that it does." And so there's this whole legal battle about this guy who's like, "You owe me a fucking Harrier."
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, it's a highly recommend. It's four episodes on Netflix. Like it's really
just go watch it.
It's a really great show.
I totally missed that, but absolutely up my alley. I want to watch that. I remember the Pepsi points. I do think I got the T-shirt. I kind of remember this, and a very 90s thing. I got like a CD holder, like one of those plastic sheet things that you slid your loose CDs into.
I had the CD.
It was blue.
The blue CD holder.
It was a blue CD wallet.
Totally had that. Yeah. So I have history with these Pepsi points. I remember this. My family drank Pepsi. That was our thing. Totally check this out.
No, it's a good documentary. And then like I said, awesome. It goes into like I said all the legal battles and stuff like that. And then
4 episodes sounds like a lot for this thing about Pepsi points.
Because I mean, it was a long drawn out
layers to this.
Yeah.
Well, and then then they start to bring up like I said other things, right? So like I guess like I said in the Philippines, I said apparently Pepsi screwed up again, where they basically like so they had a contest where they're giving away like basically 1 million like Filipino pesos or whatever their currency is called, right?
Yeah.
At the time. However, there's a computer glitch that basically said misprinted the caps. However, though, right? Like I said, 1 million, it was like basically the equivalent of like $500. But then multiple people had won, and so I said it was like I said in this this poor area of the Philippines, and then so all the people started writing and like throwing Molotov cocktails of Pepsi bottles at the Pepsi bottling plant. Like it's like I said, it goes into basically what Pepsi didn't want to pay out then either. Even though they screwed up, but no, it's a good like I said it interweaves a whole bunch of things, but definitely watch.
Yeah. Super interesting.
Check it out. Get up on this on Netflix. Pepsi, Where's My Jet? That's what it's called.
Okay. Yeah, Pepsi, Where's My Jet? There's that one. Awesome. And if you're on the thing too, while you're at it, then also because we're going to talk some of this stuff because I think this is good. You also need to go watch. I believe it's on HBO Max, the McMillions documentary as well about how for years. All of us were playing McDonald's Monopoly thinking that we had a chance to win, whereas the dude who was in charge of distributing out the winning pieces had some scandal going where he was able to switch them out and was giving them to people for a cut of the money that they would win.
It was his family and friends, right? I think he was like head of security or
head of security,
like that.
So he literally had the briefcase that had all the winning pieces in it, and he would go to whatever plant that they were going to put them on, and he would ensure that they made it onto the right box. And it was he had some process. To this day, he still is yet to admit how he actually got them away from that process. What he did to get them, because they was given to him in a lock case. He went to this factory under surveillance and somehow was able to keep the winning pieces and put non-winning ones, Baltic Avenues or whatever you want,
park places
instead of the winning ones,
to the boardwalks,
and would keep the boardwalks and everything and all the good pieces. So you had almost zero chance for 10 years or so, or not 10 years. It was 5 years of the thing running. You had zero chance of actually winning because the winning pieces that were supposed to go on the things were just held. So you couldn't get any of the top prizes. They were
never on the cups or the.
They were never on the cups or on the fries.
They were supposed to go.
And they would find some random person to be like, "Hey, do you want a bunch of money? You go in and pretend that you won at this McDonald's, and this is where you bought it at, right? Whatever." And you go in and claim the prize. Yeah. And we take the money. You keep some. It's this whole thing. You're like, what the?
That one was that. That was that one came out a year or two ago. I totally watched that one right away, and that actually reminds me of this Pepsi thing too, in the sense that there were multiple episodes for this McMillions thing where you think, oh, maybe it's just a one and done, but the story was so intricate and there's so many levels, so much going on that it's a 6-part documentary.
We have to try to figure out how exactly did this whole thing go.
I can see why the Pepsi one has multiple episodes though. Yeah, so real quick, shout out to the chat. Manny brings up that he only played the McDonald's Monopoly for the real food.
Hey,
totally
that's about all that you were going to get. Really.
You get that 6-piece chicken nuggets, and you're king of the
and that small fry. That small fry. You get that small fry, that 6-piece nugget.
That's all you got. Small fry.
And the large drink.
Oh, and the twisty cone. And the twisty cones.
Maybe
Yeah,
that
if their ice cream machine was
I was like, well, maybe. So here's the thing, though. Like, all right, maybe it's all those McDonald's free twisty cones that basically forever broke the machines.
exactly right. That you're right. The dessert was the winning. Was probably the best one you could get to. But shout out to Galactic Brack as well. Thank you guys for hanging out.
Galactic Brack,
much appreciated.
What's going on? Thanks everybody.
Yeah, good times, man. Good times.
Yeah, I don't know. I started watching because I'm like I was bored and I didn't have anything else to watch. Yeah. And I remember this coming out. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to watch this. And it was great. And I love the Netflix documentaries too, just because then you can get like the raw reactions of people because they don't have to basically like not curse or not do anything else like that. Like right. You get basically the raw the raw reactions to people. But no, it was quite good. It was quite well done.
It's cool. Yeah, I will definitely be checking that out this week.
So, Jeremy, you bring up a good question for me because I know you're a big fan of Yellowstone, right? And there
huge fan of Yellowstone.
Obviously, right? You got it set up here. Are you excited for 1923? Because doesn't that come out like next week?
Yeah, it comes out next week or the week after that. Sometime like the
Helen. They got Helen Mirren.
Yeah. Well, and Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I saw that.
Yeah, Harrison Ford, Helen Mirren. It's like I said, the spin-offs are honestly just as good, right? So they had
1883, right?
1883, which was great. Like honestly, like
okay,
you would think that like I'm like Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, like said, like, oh wait, they're not actors. They were actually really good, like I said in this show. And like I said, Tim McGraw actually played a great like old school like kind of cowboy guy. Manny said I should watch Yellowstone. I do hear this good show. Yes, I honestly it's one of those shows where I'm like I didn't watch it for the first 3 years that it was on. Like I caught up on it like I said super late, maybe I said a couple of years ago. I said right at the end of season 3, and then I said I watched the first episode, and then I'm like it's one of those shows that it hooked me right away. I'm like okay, I'm watching this entire thing. So I literally binged, like I said, the first 3 seasons like in a weekend. And then I said anxiously waited for season 4 to come out, and then season 5 I said just debuted last week, and they dropped a double episode. I said for season 5 kickoff.
So I think you make a really good point though, because this is one of those shows where I don't think the marketing for the first couple seasons was very good, because it was one of those shows like, dude, I had no desire. I just missed it. Or didn't even see it because I had no idea. And then people started talking about it around the time that I think you started watching it was around like that 3rd season or end of season 3 where people are like, this is so great. And I'm like, it's been 3 seasons and I had no idea it existed.
So like I've worn I wear like pop culture shirts, like I said, out and about all the time. Right.
Yeah.
Like I've worn shows, for like I've worn like a Breaking Bad shirt out. I've worn like Sons of Anarchy shirts out and this and there. Went out and about today, right? I have never had so many people stop me and ask me about basically Yellowstone and basically how excited they were for the current season that's going on. It was nuts.
That's
like
cool.
Like how many people, like I said, are actually now involved in watching this show. Like it's crazy, like I said, how much it's caught on. But it's one of those shows where I'm like, I never thought I would be interested in it. Like at all. I'm like on a ranch. I'm like, I'm not really into like Western type stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's not even anywhere close to that. Honestly, the best way I can describe it, like, right. And this is how I described it. It's like I said, it's Sons of Anarchy on a ranch. That's the best way to that's the best way to describe it.
Instead of bikers, it's ranch owners.
It's rancher. Yeah.
Cowboys.
And cowboys. Ranchers and cowboys, right? Like I said, it is literally Sons of Anarchy. I said on a ranch. And I loved Sons of Anarchy. And then, like I said, Taylor Sheridan, the guy who created Yellowstone, was actually in Sons of Anarchy. He was actually one of the sheriffs. I said that was actually in Sons of Anarchy. But no, so yeah, so they're doing all these spinoffs. So basically, I said 1883 was a prequel. 1923 that's coming out is also another prequel. It's basically the history of basically how the Duttons, the Dutton, which is the main family of the show, gets the ranch, right, and the times they go through. And so, like, I don't know, it's such a well done show. And then I think the crazy thing is, it's a show that's done by MTV Studios.
Yeah, I saw that. Or they got involved for season 4 because it's the original, like it's on Paramount Network, which
so it's
I didn't know was a thing,
which is weird. So Paramount Plus, right? Paramount Network, everything. When you hear Paramount, it's Viacom.
Yeah,
Viacom
exactly.
Now, right? And that's probably why I think the first couple seasons didn't go on the radar, because Viacom didn't allow any of their shows to be on any of the other streaming things. They were like hard in on cable for the longest time, and then
that's their baby.
That was their baby, because Viacom, right?
Yeah,
so
MTV,
but that included
everything,
like Nickelodeon, MTV, Comedy Central, right? All those things. So when they finally came out and they're like, fuck it, we're gonna bite the bullet, we're gonna have to make our own streaming thing with Paramount Plus, I think that's where they started driving in a lot more of the money, because there is no more money in cable anymore. Like, I don't know anybody that still has it. So driving it in, like, I think that's where it really started to push, and maybe the move to MTV Studios probably had to do with them actually having better budget or better experienced people to bring in and up that quality. Because you think MTV Studios was doing movies, right? They've done the Jackass stuff. They've had quite a bit of more experience with movies, and I think some of the smaller or like bigger budget shit, right?
Yeah. It's just weird. Like you wouldn't think, like, just because you think of like the MTV movies, right? Like of what the MTV Studios has done in the past. Like, it's so much different than anything they've done. Like, it's just like you just wouldn't put like two and two together. It's just weird to think that MTV, like I said, music videos and stuff like that. Like I said, birthed the studio that basically has now created basically one of the biggest shows in pop culture right now.
I had to look it up because I remember it was something ridiculous. Was their first official MTV Studios movie, and I had to look it up. Joe's Apartment.
Yep.
Was the first MTV Studios movie that they put out.
The guy from Sliders and all the cockroaches.
With all the cockroaches, yeah.
That was a good movie.
I mean,
for what it was.
I can't remember. I couldn't remember which of the O'Connell brothers it was, but it's Jerry O'Connell that's in that one. Yeah. But like, they're the ones who also did like Varsity Blues, right? Technically, they had a little bit to do with the South Park movie back in the day, even though that came out through Warner Brothers Paramount. So yeah, they've done
interesting.
They've had a lot of different movies. I saw like something too that they had that was they've done a lot of weird stuff, like that Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters movie with Jeremy Renner. Was an MTV Studios show. Like, so they've done a lot of like stuff that you look at it and be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like Joe's Apartment, right? Like Blades of Glory, Reno 911, the movie. Yeah, those all make sense. But then some of it like that was like, oh damn.
They've actually, like, I just brought up the list too. Like they've made a lot of kind of classic movies for our generation. You touched on some, Scott, but I see 3 here that you haven't said yet that are pretty huge. Zoolander. One of my favorites, Orange County.
Yes.
We're the same height. That is
yes.
Yeah.
And Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
Like those are like, especially like Zoolander and Napoleon Dynamite. Those are kind of like classic movies.
I could go without the Napoleon Dynamite.
Well, same. It's not my favorite, but people really like Napoleon Dynamite, right?
It's so terrible. Like,
I don't get it, but I mean, it's still one of those pop culture relevant movies. People know Napoleon Dynamite. They wear the shirts that say, right, like vote for Pedro. Like it's got things that exist still.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is no Orange County.
It's not, but yeah,
Orange County is like top 5 favorite movies for me all time.
Yeah. They said the Reno 911 movie was the Reno 911 Miami was so they're the ones who like did the movie, right? They're the production studio that did it, and
through
then
Paramount,
through Paramount or some other things that they actually do the distribution for it. So let's see, Galactic Brad says, did anyone watch the Santa Clauses? No, I'm trying to convince my daughter to
I forgot that came out on Disney Plus, like, so the Santa Claus TV show, right?
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the Tim Allen one, right? But then isn't there a Santa Claus with like David Harbour that's like a horror movie too?
Violent Night. Yes,
Violent Night.
I want to watch that one too.
No, so do I. It comes out, I think, in like 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
a little closer to Christmas.
Like literally in the trailer, like I said, he has the greatest catch lines. Seasons beatings, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like,
or the where he has the candy cane that he does into the spike.
Yeah, Violent Night looks great. Or basically like where he pulls a grenade, shoves it up a guy's ass, and then starts to run away. He's like, "Nah, I gotta watch this," and he turns around to watch the guy blow up. Like I didn't realize that was a thing until it popped up.
I thought it was a joke.
No, I only saw the trailer this week.
I thought it was a joke.
I saw the trailer. I said it was they said they attached the trailer to Terrifier. Well, when I went and saw Terrifier too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how did I not hear about this until now? I'm like, this looks fantastic. It's basically a John Wick,
but Santa.
John Wick Santa Claus movie. I'm like, this is great.
Yep. Instant holiday classic.
So,
at least it seems like it.
Released December 2nd, 2022.
Okay.
So here in just a couple of weeks, Violent Night will be released. I'm trying to look to see where it'll actually be available on, but
no, it's
in theaters.
It's in theaters,
but I'm trying to see. So it's Universal. So what's that?
HBO.
Peacock? Or is that HBO? So where will it end up after theaters?
It'll HBO.
Yeah, but Jeremy, so that might be something we have to go to the theaters to go watch.
I think you should,
because I did show the wife and she was not. She was like, "Nah, that is not my thing."
I don't think I'd be all in unless the lead was somebody like I liked, and David Harbour.
David Harbour as a violent, like said, Santa Claus.
David Harbour versus John Leguizamo.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot he was in it too. Yeah. I mean, the cast is good too. So otherwise it could be iffy, but it seems like it's going to be good.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
Manny mentioned a couple minutes ago, if we're talking about Wakanda Forever, you guys still haven't seen Wakanda Forever, right? Yeah. So not today, Manny. I talked about it a little bit last week. I did see it, but nobody else has. So we're probably going to wait till the Disney Plus release, which has to be coming any day now. Black Adam is on soap today. If you guys have not seen it and you're bored, it's worth watching for free.
I'll be washing my hands with that one.
Yeah, It's out there. I saw. So we're super fast, right? That it came out like a month ago.
Because here's the thing. Now they know, it's like let's
get it out there.
Just pull it out of theaters. So let's drive some HBO Max. Let's look at from HBO Max subscriptions. Honestly, it's probably getting ready to dump on there.
Probably, yeah. I'm not sure. I just saw it was on soap today when I was looking for something to watch the other day, and I'm like, oh,
yep.
It's worth it. But yeah, I mean that Black Panther 2 has to be we talked about that last week. It's probably end of the year or January. Yeah. It's going to be here really, really soon. So
so you have that. So and it says here it looks like around probably December 5th ish is when Black Adam should show up on
HBO Max. Cool. So
2 weeks. It hasn't been officially announced, but everyone.
But it must be on
a thing here.
It must be on digital download or whatever.
Yeah. Coming up soon. So once it hits that, it's pretty much give that a week or two for digital download to try to scrape as much of that last little bit as you can before.
I don't know who's doing that, especially if you're already paying for HBO Max or you get HBO Max for free with your internet. I don't see why you would pay $20 or whatever it is to watch these movies if you're not going to go see them in the theater.
And keep in mind, everyone's looking at it as a 45-day theatrical lock for Black Adam is December, beginning of December. That may not be the case. So I will highlight, if I'm wrong, and most of the people are online, a lot of people are highlighting that Elvis had a 71-day theater run. So
did you guys watch that? Was that any good? It didn't look very good.
No interest in watching it, Elvis.
Sometimes those ones are okay.
I really have a hard time finding biopics.
I hate biopic pieces.
Because
the Freddie Mercury one was okay. I'm trying to think of what else there was.
Yeah,
that's the first one was okay too, but
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, with Aaron Taggart
Taron Egerton.
Taron Egerton,
at least that one at least was decent, where he actually knew Elton John and can actually sing like him. And so you're like, oh, the guy singing is actually Taron Egerton in most of those songs.
Yeah.
And like, he's got like the blessing of the person to play. He's like, yeah, you can play me. You can sing like me. Like, like that I appreciated with that one. Because it's like, cool. The person who you're biopicking got to pick and give his blessing to this person. So it must be good.
Because unlike Freddie Mercury or Elvis, Elton John is still
around.
alive.
Yeah. Hey, Elvis isn't dead.
Oh, yeah, right. He's in Hawaii and he's really, really old now.
Well, speaking of Christmas movies, so like, right, like, so this movie came out, like I said, like 2 years ago, but this movie was great too. Like I said, did you guys ever watch Fat Man?
No,
I don't think I know what this is.
It's basically, it's got Walton Goggins, and basically Mel Gibson plays Santa Claus, and basically this one kid basically tries, like I said, he doesn't get what he wants for Christmas and hires a hitman to go kill Santa Claus.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Walton Goggins, I said the guy, the guy from the villain from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and this.
Yeah.
Everything. Basically plays
he basically
redneck and everything.
Yeah, he plays this guy called Skinny Man, who's basically a hitman that goes and tries to kill Santa Claus.
I've heard of this.
And then Santa Claus is basically Santa Claus is basically trying to fight against the U.S. military, basically taking over the North Pole because they got contracted out to build basically military equipment. Like, if you haven't seen this movie, like if Violent Night basically kind of catches your interest, you need to go and watch this movie too, just because it's fantastic. This is also a new Christmas tradition for me, like watching basically gruff, angry Santa Claus, I said, and then basically try to take down a hitman. Like,
yeah, it
is great.
It sounds good. No, I don't think I even knew that existed until just now, but I think you're right. Like that and the Violent Night sound like, you watch those back, set up your kind of cool Christmas movie marathon with those and throw on like Die Hard and just have a good time. New Christmas traditions.
You have to get that. You got to go with an old school classic then if you're going to go the same direction with Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what that is.
Horror movie.
Old. Of course, I was going to say, Larry, of course you don't.
Like 80s?
Old school. Yeah. So basically, like serial killer dresses like Santa and kills people. Like, right? Idea. Slasher movie set around Christmas.
Santa's the Jason or whatever.
Yeah. But it has some great like one-liners across. I think that what's the sequel is they had another one that was like the sequel where he like some guy's taking out the trash and getting the guy like yells something about the street and just shoots him. It's utterly ridiculous.
I'm trying to remember what it is, but I know what you're talking about. But no, like I said, here's how you can tell it's good too, right? Like I said, like when the critics, like I said, and the critics and then the audience Rotten Tomatoes score is inverted. So like I'm sure my screen's got. Can you share this? So like Fat Man, right? 44% Rotten Tomatoes, 84% audience score. The audience loves it.
Yeah, and even 44 is not that bad, but 84 pretty solid.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid movie.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely check out this movie. Like
Galactic Brat's favorite Christmas movie is White Christmas. I have not seen that either. I looked it up. It's got Bing Crosby.
The old school.
Yeah,
the old
1954.
One, yeah.
I have not seen that.
All right, so here, like, that's side tangent, right? Like I said, this is this episode.
Totally planned.
It's totally planned. I said, if you guys, what is your favorite classic Christmas movie that's not Die Hard? That's like said that's like it's actually like.
So it's not a contested,
not a contested
Christmas movie. Ooh.
Well, so I just started typing in Christmas movies into Google, and Christmas Story came up.
That's getting a sequel.
Are you guys gonna watch? Yeah, it's out.
Oh, of course.
It's out.
Yeah.
Christmas Story Christmas. It is out now on HBO Max. Figured we needed to touch on that one too.
We have
that's not my favorite. That's one of those ones that like back back in the 90s, early 2000s, when you used to watch cable TV, that was one of those movies that they played all the time on like TNT or TBS or something. And it was just always on. So, I mean, that one's got like, again, not my favorite. I know some people are really into it. But it's got some good nostalgia because of, cable TV kept that one alive. I think that mine is gotta be Home Alone. Does that count as a Christmas movie, or is that in a contested category?
No, that's my comparison.
Yeah.
For Die Hard, all right, is if Home Alone is definitely a Christmas movie, right? Yeah. Like no one questions Home Alone.
But it's not. It doesn't have Santa in it exactly, and that kind of stuff. Like Santa's not the main character. Like kind of like the other one, Jingle All the Way. Those are probably two of my favorites.
Yeah. So I have one that I like to watch. It's very hard to find though. I think it's on Paramount Plus to be able to watch it now. But Scrooged.
Yes.
Love Scrooged. Bill Murray at his best.
So what about what about as a kid? What did you watch?
Oh no, I still watch that as a kid. I mean, as a little kid.
No, as a little kid Christmas movie.
That doesn't feel like a little kid Christmas movie.
It wasn't, but I watched that with my parents when I was like, because that came out 88. I think 88, 89. Right. So I remember in the 90s watching that as a child. You got Galactic Bratch hit that right there. The old school Grinch, the Dr. Seuss one. I think that's one that I have to watch.
Even the Jim Carrey one.
The Jim Carrey one's good, but like I'm still not saying that's like classic.
No.
If I can't say Scrooged, I can't say the new Jim
classic,
Carrey.
Like as you were a kid growing up.
As a kid, the Grinch. And you got to go with the old school, like Rudolph and those Frosty. Ones. Like,
that's what I was thinking too.
Frosty,
that again is
I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow.
Mine is this
the Garfield Christmas.
Garfield Christmas. I freaking loved Garfield Christmas.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
You've never seen Garfield Christmas? No. Oh, you gotta watch Garfield Christmas.
I mean, like I was definitely like that's like Garfield and Friends era, right? Like that when that cartoon was on.
This is like old school, like original Garfield. Like
87.
87,
yeah, maybe a little bit before Garfield and Friends.
Yeah. So like, it's a whole story. Basically, I said about hey, they go and travel to their family for the holidays. Like I said, he doesn't know what to get Odie for Christmas. Huh. And then Odie basically makes him like basically a surprise. So I said for Christmas, it's a great Christmas classic, like Garfield Christmas. Like it's one of those things where I'm like, as soon as it would, like I actually had to pay for it just because I'm like, you know what, I need to have this in my collection just because it doesn't exist on a physical piece of media anyplace.
Yeah. Okay.
It's one of those ones that's really hard to find. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That one right? Garfield, Peanuts
Christmas with
Charlie Brown Christmas is another
sad
one.
Christmas tree. Like
that was pretty good too. Right. But so like some of those, like the Charlie Brown Christmas and the Frosty and Rudolph, I remember like, right, you knew they were going to be on TV, like NBC or one of the main networks would play it. But like you had to prepare and know.
You had to play it out. You had your TV guide.
Yeah,
I said you had your TV guide. You're looking like, oh my God, it's Frosty night.
Yeah, and if you missed it or didn't catch it till like halfway through, it was over. Like you felt bad.
And I'd always get the one with the snow, like the was it Santa Claus is coming to town, and all the other ones are like, it's Frosty, and you're like, no, this is the other shitty ones. Like there's only Frosty or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer were great. The other ones were not so good.
Not my favorite. Right? I agree. Some people do really like them, but not my favorite.
Not myself. I did forget too, and by the way, it is back in its uncut form, which we'll talk about this. The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it came back, and a lot of thing that a lot of people didn't know is that everything that you've been able to find for like the last couple of years on any form of media was a edited, cut down version of the Muppets Christmas Carol. Now you think what was edited out? It was a song that they cut out of that they thought was just not right for children to hear,
like
which is
horribly
the song
racist or something.
No, that's the thing. It's all about it's Scrooge singing about like basically how he's falling out of love basically. And they're like, it's like, I don't know if it was a pacing thing or they just thought kids just didn't need to hear that. But they cut that out for the longest time. And it's finally on the streaming version. That song has been re-added back into it. So you can see the show in its entirety. It is the most obnoxiously weird. For no reason did it really need to be cut. And you think like, oh, maybe it's for TV. But no, every version of it that you bought on DVD had that cut out.
It only existed on the VHS copy.
Yeah. Anything really that was digital, like in the digital era, had it edited out. And no one really, like, there was never really an explanation of exactly why it was cut out. And it's just suddenly back on there. So somebody grabbed the wrong version when they copied it for streaming.
Or the right version, like finally, like
I
feel like all the other versions was one time they probably did it for TV to save time or something, like you said, right? Like it wasn't a critical part of the plot, so they cut it, and somehow that version just kept getting copied, and then finally somebody found the right version, and you know, a win for the little guy, for the hardcore Jim Henson fans can now watch the Scrooge love song.
Yeah. It was probably a petition something.
That's what I was thinking.
Change.org. There's been change.orgs for it, and people have been like going at Disney trying to get I want the Muppet Christmas Carol in its entirety, and because people were saying like it's fine if you want to cut that out for like TV broadcasts or like broadcasts and things like that, but like why did you cut it out of the DVD? Like, it's really weird that, like, you cut that for home release, but not the VHS. It was only later that you did it.
Well, it's one of those things, too, right? That, like I said, as a kid, I said, you remember this? And then I was like, was I crazy?
Yeah.
Like I said, was there a different version of this? Because there's two things that I've ever had that with. Like I said, I never really had that with the Muppets. I don't remember that. But there was the Halloween tree. I've talked about
this.
Yeah, I've talked about this several times. I know this movie exists. And I'm like, I know it exists. I'm like, it's this messed up animated cartoon. I said for Halloween, where they like little kids give up pieces of their soul to save their one kid. I said who has like, one of their friend has cancer, right? Like I'm like this is such a messed up movie. Like I said for kids, and I'm like, this can't be real. I'm like, did I just imagine this as a kid? And then I finally found it. Like I said, as an adult, I'm like, and it's like one of those things. I'm like, it was like the total like, oh yeah, you know, it's the Kazam or the Shazam. Like I said with the thing,
vindication.
Like, it was real. I found it. But yeah, no, I'm happy that people are now having that moment to us with the Muppet Christmas Carol saying, "Yes, I knew it was real. We
knew. And unfortunately, like physical media like that doesn't hold up very well. Like those were not really made for long-term storage, so like it's harder and harder to find these VHSs.
And I think that's why
it was there.
I'm still a physical media like kind of like junkie, just because I'm like I have to have the copy of it, just because I'm like I don't know if it's ever going to retain. I said the original format. Galactic Brett brings up a lot of shit we watched as a kid was kind of messed up. 100%. Like, but at the same point in time, right? I said I think that it's just interesting. It's just really interesting. A little monster. I rewatched that.
As a kid, drink piss.
Yeah, like it was
Howie Mandel.
But it was one of those things. I'm like you appreciate it because I'm like, I think I turned out fine. Like I said, as an adult. But
it's weird. Like that's the shit that we grew up with, right?
But so it could never be made today. I just feel bad.
Thing is like, why? What happened to the people that watched that growing up that they're like, we can't expose our children to that same stuff?
That is
because it's the people that are like us that are the ones that are getting all buggered about it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, why? Like, I don't see a problem. Like, to the point where the other day I was at a place, and some lady was getting exceedingly angry because we were in a boba tea place, right? And they had on the music and it was playing curse words. And a person brought their child into this place and was losing their absolute mind because of the music that was playing in the kitchen. And I just wanted to look at the person and be like, your kid can hear those words as long as you teach them those are bad ones and not to be repeated. But like the idea that like I can't expose my child to it, if they know it exists, it will corrupt their little souls. It infuriates me because I'm like, we grew up with like Wu-Tang Clan. Like I know you were like,
no. Here's the thing: the kids nowadays are growing up with the internet, the cesspool, like I said, of everything else. So we just barely got the tinge of that. I said as we started being like teenagers, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I remember like back in the day, way back in the day, first onset of the internet. Like, hey, you know what? As a teenager, I'm going to messed up stuff. Like look at messed up shit on the internet. That's the thing.
Faces of Death,
like rotten.com and this, that, and the other. Like that was like the main purpose of the internet back then, is to look up like dumb shit and download illegal music.
I mean, still is
steal music and or get a virus, maybe both at the same time, and then go look at some like awful shit online
with your dial-up connection.
Yes,
so everything took forever. Yes.
Well, yeah, the first day that we got a DSL modem was the like mind blowing. The like, holy crap!
I didn't even have one
on the phone and do this at the same time.
But like one of my friends had it first, so like everybody went to their house, right? That was the hot thing. Like, whoa, wait a minute, you got like high-speed internet? This is amazing.
Oh, I just thought of another uncut movie. Like completely sort of back to that, right? Have you guys seen the uncut version of the Goonies?
With the
Probably
squid?
not, because I think it was it on TV.
With the octopus.
No.
So like in multiple different copies, I said of the Goonies. I said at the very end of the movies, you hear Data. I said talking. I said about like what was the scariest part? Oh, the scariest part was the octopus. Like said, like
what octopus?
There was a scene, like I said, where they're getting attacked by an octopus before they go onto One-Eyed Willie's ship.
Yeah,
in the original movie.
Yeah, that's right. I think I've only seen it on TV. Like I've never watched any other version of the Goonies.
Yeah, another VHS. Like I said, it was on the VHS, but not on
just got
DVD.
Cut. And that one, it's even referenced to it, so it's weird. I remember somebody telling me that, like, 90s or whatever.
I think I've talked about it a couple of times.
You might be that. You're gonna be that guy.
So back then, you bring up a great point. Like at one point when I was at high school, one of my friends, his dad came into some money somehow and got a T1 line back in the day.
Oh, good old T1.
The good old T1 line. And so he became the dedicated Napster person, because we're at like 10 15 minutes and Galactic Break brings it like if somebody like picked up the phone or you got cut off at like 90%, you lost your
it took you an hour, right?
It took you an hour sometimes. So he was going on like 5 minutes of songs where like here's like he would get the list, go to school and he'd get the list of all the songs he needed to download.
I made so much money. I said with a CD burner. I said in junior high and high school, like just going out and just downloading music and hey, what do you want? Burning CDs, this, that, and the other. It was fantastic. Yeah, and I had a CD burner, and that's when I first started getting into like modding computers. I'm like, okay, it was like unheard of. I said for you, to be to start in a home user, like starting to mod or add components to computers. The CD burner was like ungodly amount of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but it was fantastic. Yeah. Man, like I said, it paid for it. I remember trying to convince my parents. I'm like, hey, no, this is totally worth it. We they didn't want to do it. I'm like, no, this is totally worth it. Within a week, I basically made double the money of what I paid for the original investment.
It's ridiculous. That's all you needed was faster internet than everybody else, and a CD burner, and the list of songs that everybody wanted to download. And then once you downloaded, the new the first thing I think of is MXPX. When you download the new MXPX album, for me, you can copy it for Scott too, and you're just printing money at that point. Once you get that initial download down.
How many do I need?
I know exactly which MXPX album you're on. The one with the guy with the cartoon with the skateboard with the
dude, it's the one. Yeah, it's the one with Chick Magnet on it. Yeah,
I don't remember what it's called offhand.
So,
But yes, that one, or like Rage Against the Machine. I'm trying to think of the stuff that was like popular in like late 90s.
You gotta go with the one that almost got Napster shut down. Come on, Metallica, man.
Let It Happen. Like I said, it was this album right here, because I feel like I know exactly what album, because I'm like, I downloaded this album.
Well, everyone did.
It was this one.
Sorry, MXPX, but same.
Yeah.
I do think I own Slowly Going the Way of Buffalo, but I copied everything else from before that.
Exactly. That was the thing, man. I would buy it. I would go to the local music store. It wasn't like FYE or whatever. Sam Goody or whatever it was. Find the like the bands that I liked. I'd get whatever the popular CD at the time was, and then I'd go like, well, fuck it. I'm just gonna go. I'll download all the other stuff before that.
Yeah.
So I have it, and I'd have whatever disc I wanted to play in the car.
Yep. Same. Write it just, or listen to the radio, and you'd write down songs just on paper, because you didn't have the notepad thing on your phone or any easy way to do it. You literally had to like remember it or carry around a piece of paper with you and be like, all right, got to download the song next week. Good times. Kids don't know. Like Spotify generation and YouTube, and like you don't know the struggle, man.
Like, I've tried to tell like my daughter, she's 9, right? Like about kind of the struggles of what as an
the early
internet age and all the things of like, she walks around with a cell phone. If she ever gets lost or anything, she can just fucking call and be like, hey, I'm here. But like, she doesn't know the struggle of like being at the mall and losing your parent, and you have to go fucking store to store to store to store to try to find them. And then if you can't, you have to go find the
payphones. And then you don't have a quarter, so you have to call collect. But and then hang up before they say yes. So they're like,
well, then I was like, oh man, give me payphones. Did you guys ever call the Sean Connery hotline?
No, but that sounds amazing. Like, was it actually Sean Connery?
It was just Sean Connery.
Pre-recorded message or something? No.
Yeah.
I remember like they had there were 900 numbers for that kind of stuff, right? Like the wrestling hotline, you'd call and get wrestling news. I did not know Sean Connery had one.
Yeah, it was a Sean Connery hotline.
I mean, he has a great voice.
I mean, so
is that like the podcast before podcast?
No, it was a thing where a guy would, they had a lot of things where you could call these numbers and it'd be people pretending to be the celebrity, right?
Okay.
And they would you're basically just calling their answering machine that is set up, and they would just run this like little joke gag.
Well, remember, there's an episode of The Simpsons where Lisa gets addicted to the Corey hotline.
The Corey hotline, yes.
Right, and Corey's like, here's words that rhyme with Corey. Story, laboratory. Like, it was just that's the only reference I have to it is The Simpsons.
Those sort of things. And they had the jokes that you could call, and like people would set stupid shit
joke of the day. That was a Full House episode.
Yeah.
Right? She called Michelle called the number and got the joke of the day, and then told everybody at school, and she was the most popular kid because she was hilarious. Until Danny figured it out and saw the phone bill, and somebody's in trouble.
When he called the number and got the same joke of the day. Because he finishes the joke when she starts calling it.
Awesome. Sort of related. Have you guys seen a TV show on Hulu called Reboot?
Mm-mm.
It's pretty
the show. Okay, so Reboot of the cartoon from when we were kids that were Reboot.
No, so it's a sitcom. It's a sitcom. It's called Reboot. Oh, but basically, it's rebooting like a TGIF kind of Full House,
with Johnny
step
Knoxville.
by step.
Yeah.
Yes, with Johnny Knoxville, Paul Reiser. If you like TV shows about TV shows, it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. It's like 8 episodes. It's a pretty quick watch, but I watched that this week too. I enjoyed it. It's right. It's got it starts off kind of heavy with like 90s jokes, like the pitch. There's a pitch meeting where the writer comes in, it's like, hey, I want to reboot this show, and one of the executives like, I don't remember it, so they play the opening credits, and it's very Full House, very step by step, right? It that part's hilarious. As the show develops, it becomes more about this actual reboot, but it's basically just making fun of how TV shows get rebooted. But then it kind of gets more into the relationships of the actors and that kind of stuff too. But yeah, Johnny Knoxville's in it. That one guy who was on like Parks and Rec. It's pretty good. I like it.
Rat asks, has anyone watched Avenue 5? I have not, but I have seen. I've seen a couple things about it. It's one with like Hugh Laurie in it, I think, right? It's on my watch list because it's got like Hugh Laurie and like Josh Gad in it.
The guy from House.
Yeah.
No, I did not. It came out last year on HBO. Interesting. 2 seasons. Nope, I have not watched that. But yeah, if you're super bored, if you're bored and looking for like a sitcom-y kind of show, Reboot on Hulu is pretty good.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to pull this up because there was a Canadian animated cartoon. That's what I was talking, because I think it looks like they were going to bring it back up. But
yeah, I don't know what that is.
I'm going to share my screen for this, and then because this is what I thought you were talking about when you said reboot, because I think this is coming back too. But do you remember this reboot with the absolute nightmare fuel of the CGI back in the day? Like,
I remember. Look
at this one right here.
Yeah,
look at that. Like, that is absolutely terrifying.
It was that first kind of computer generated animation.
Yeah,
but
they have a reboot of the show Reboot that came out in 2018.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's it was the first show of like kids going into the computer and they would have to fight. These are all programs. They'd have to fight viruses.
I remember this.
What year did that come out? I got it. Maybe
1994.
No, like I remember like I recognize the art style, but I never watched an episode. It had 47 episodes.
Galactic Parade brings up the lawnmower.
Yeah,
awful. Like Nightmare Fuel.
Yeah, that movie was super popular too at the time. So people loved Lawnmower Man.
So it's okay. All right. Well, we're running at the almost the hour point here. So Larry, why don't you go ahead and do your thing?
Oh yeah. Thanks for everybody for hanging out. You should follow us on Instagram. We are at STS Guys. We're also on Twitter, while that's still around, at STS Guys, and good old classic Facebook at the STS Guys. And I am Larry from the STS Guys.
Chilling like a villain. And could we talk about the Twitter thing real quick?
Yes, of course. I think we have to.
I've never seen something basically that go so horribly bad so fast.
Less than a month, right?
My favorite story was from a guy. So I haven't seen this on the news that much, but somebody dropped some, like, I've been watching some of like the former employees on like Twitter talking about stuff. Apparently, he fired the guy that was like the main person in charge of badge access for all the buildings.
Yeah.
Oops.
And then had to basically rehire him to come back because no one could get into the offices that they were required to go into.
How much did that cost?
I don't know. Even better now, right? I said the latest is, I said, there is no payroll department anymore. I said the entire payroll department is gone.
Did they quit? Because that was the thing this week, right? Like people just stopped showing up.
They fired half of them, and then the rest of them quit.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
so yeah,
why not? Yeah,
it's one of those things where it was like, I'm gonna do this. So here's where it came from. I get, so this is the same shit he pulled at SpaceX, right? But when you think about it, if you're a rocket engineer, how many companies can you just leave and go to as a rocket engineer and continue to get work? There's 5 or 6 probably big name companies for rockets, right? So it's not like you're going to go in there and somebody's like, you're going to be working overtime. We're going to get all this done. You're going to be like, all right, fuck it, I can't. There's only a limited number of jobs for rocket engineers. I guess I'm going to have to stick around, right? How many jobs in tech are there that these people that work software engineering are like, I want you to work all these extra hours? They're going to be like, peace, I'm going to go to this new startup that's going to let me work 20 hours a week and pay me double what you are. Like, fuck off, dude. Like, there is no incentive to stay and work like he's asking people to do. Like, the idea that people would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. Like, no.
Well, I honestly feel bad for, because a lot of the people that are sticking around are basically a lot of the people that are on visas. They're on visas, right? So where they have no choice.
Yeah.
I said, but to stick around, otherwise they get kicked out of the country. Yeah. But I don't know. It's been, like I said, I'm honestly waiting for the teledocumentary I said about the collapse of Twitter when it ultimately happened.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like,
coming.
I can only imagine the stories behind the scenes of like everything that's going on.
Once it's all dusted and done, and people come out and see some of the shit that happened.
There's got to be a whole bunch of juicy bits, like I said, in regards to,
there's some great fucking stories here that we just haven't heard yet. Like the firing the person that controls who can go in the building. And then shutting off everyone's badge access, and then be like, "Oh shit, we have to bring this guy back because no one can turn it back on." I'd be like, "Yeah, but I'm paying contractor prices. I want $60,000 a day, and I want a guaranteed contract for a certain amount of day." Like
collective rights. I'm sure they're already working on the documentary. 100%.
People are gathering those stories. They're doing the interviews now.
I would watch the shit out of that.
And here's the thing, like maybe it doesn't collapse and it survives, but like there's still going to be some fucked up shit, because this is things like daily or every other day you have a new story coming out, right? Of like something going on, whatever it is. You're just like, wait, this thing is like blue check marks. Oh, everything's fucked up. And like people are thinking these are real. That was the greatest one.
That was great. So for example, like you had people going on there and basically said like, oh yeah, I think one of them said was like, oh yeah, Eli Lilly. I said they came out insulin's free, and it tanked their stock
billions of dollars.
Wow, I didn't see that one.
Ouch.
It's interesting, right? And and I think just because
they did that to Lockheed Martin too, and they said they're not going to sell weapons anymore.
Just because I'm like, I know what goes behind the scenes of what it takes to run. I said some of that stuff, and I know basically if they don't have certain things in place, it's just going to be basically just a even bigger cesspool than what it is already. Like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Well, he fired I think some of the first people to get
moderation gone.
Yeah, those are the first people to go.
And those are a lot of those were our contractors that they were contracting out to, and they let those go.
Like so their ethics committee. It wasn't even like the low ones. It was like the high up people who were trying to keep it,
going. Here's what's good. Here's what's bad.
Yeah, like nope, get out of here. We don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a smart decision.
And it's basically going to use whoever pays for what gets the top. And it's like, dude, that ain't going to work.
Did he reinstate Trump today?
He did.
I think I saw that. Yeah. Interesting.
Well, because people voted for it.
Yeah. Hey, democratic process.
America. But yeah, it's one of those ones where you're like, dude, this is interesting. I'm loving watching this downfall. Like, again, maybe it still survives. Maybe something comes out of it, but I really don't think it's going to. I really think it's going to be.
It's interesting.
Bullshit. And like, if not, to your point, Jeremy, all these people that are on visas that are forced to work over their contract of like, right when you sign up, like I know you're salaried or whatever, but like at a certain point you can be like, I was never told like this amount of hours of this thing, and I can't quit because you basically. It's almost like what they did in Qatar, right? Where they take like the passport and be like, haha, you can't go back. Like, it's like, if you want to stay here, I hold the keys to you staying here. Shit. Like there's a lawsuit coming.
That's when you quiet quit and you look for another job as best as you can, man. Like visa, no visa, it's awful. Like, it's worse when you're going to be basically kicked out of your home abruptly. Like that's just awful, or within 60 days or whatever it is. But like it's just a bad situation all around, man. It sucks.
But you know what doesn't suck? Our friends who have podcasts.
I don't have friends. I got family.
We'll do the podcast. Hold on. I don't have my list up. There we go. Secondary here is the Average Nerd Podcast, Nerdy Curious Movie Retakes, the Toy Rewind Podcast. Shout out to those guys. 3 Beers and a Mic, just a little podcast, and Raw Boys with Mike and Josh. Good times.
Yeah, and because I didn't
then also, like I said, shout out to Galactic Break. Go check out. Go check out their stream.
Yeah. Galactic Brat.
You're on Twitch. Go hit it up. Go.
She streams, right? Twitch streams multiple times a week. Turn on your notifications. Go check that out.
Go check it out. It's always a good time.
Sweet.
So cool. All right. Since I didn't get hit earlier,
show him like a villain.
Ding 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 diggy ding ding. Ding 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 diggy ding ding.
Ding 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 ding. Indeed.
It's the hi hat.
That one note. It's
not the same.
So for episode 230. Oh, hey, real quick. No episode next week, guys.
Oh yeah, no episode.
Thanksgiving holiday.
Have a good Thanksgiving, everybody.
Everyone go have fun. We're gonna go. We're not gonna be here. We're gonna be doing other things. So
yep. So for episode 230 of the STS Guys, I've been Jeremy.
Hey, it's Larry.
And I'm Scott.
And we're the STS Guys. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.